Hey guys, it's Nick Cooling here, and welcome back to the channel. It's a great day because we get to talk about Friday the 13th again. It's always good when we get to talk about my favorite horror franchise. And today I'm going to be looking at all of the Jason defeats or deaths in the series, including Pamela's and Roy's too. I'm going to be ranking all 12. I haven't seen too many videos like this on YouTube, so I figured I'd try it out. Now, the way I'm ranking these, I'm not going to include the whole final scene or nothing. It's literally just the death. Like, how does the main villain die? And ranking it from worst to best. Before I get started, let me know what's your favorite favorite villain death in the series in the comments. Now, let's get right into it. Coming in at number 12, we got Friday the 13th Part 7, the Jason versus Carrie one. This Jason defeat is just so ridiculous to me. It's definitely the worst in the franchise. It's just so dumb. They're battling on the docks, Jason and Tina, and she uses her powers to resurrect her father, which was deceased since she was a kid. And he pops up through the docks, looking pretty alive. Didn't look like he was down in the lake for years. He got a little bit of mud on him. That's it. But anyway, he comes up, he grabs Jason by the legs, hauls him down, wraps a chain around his neck, and drags him to the bottom of the lake again. And this would have been really cool, I think, if they just would have made the father look all decaying in that and coming up. I think that would have been a lot cooler. But we didn't get that, and it just made for a really cheap ending. Especially after all the stunt work Kane Hodder did right before this. And since Tina's father just dragged him back to the bottom of the lake, he's not dead. He's just pretty much subdued down there until the next movie. So it's a defeat, not a death. Coming in at number 11, we got Whitney and her brother Clay in the barn against Jason in the remake. Now, I do like the remake. I know it has a love-hate relationship with the fans. I just felt like the way that they defeated Jason in this movie was pretty bad. He's getting hauled into this grinder machine by a chain around his neck, and Whitney uses the machete to finish him off, and he pretty much gives up and lets the spikes hit him in the back of the head. But you don't really get to see any gore or anything, and I don't know, it just feels like a very stale Jason kill in a pretty epic movie. Ultimately, Jason pops back up at the docks at the end, so this is a defeat, not a death. Coming in at number 10, we got Jason X. This is when Jason is propelling through space towards the rescue ship after their old ship blowing up. Sergeant Brodsky intercepts him in space and launches him towards Earth 2, and they both burn up kind of to a crisp going through the atmosphere until he eventually lands in Crystal Lake, or a lake. So this one's a very weird way to defeat Jason, but I like the ending, how it shows the mask, his metal mask, kind of burnt in the lake. And I'm going to mark this one down as a death, because there's no way of knowing if he survived that, and I'm guessing he would have been burnt so badly and just torn to shreds probably going down in there. But we never really know, but I'm calling a death on this one. Coming in at number 9, we got Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. And this is where Tommy chops at Roy Burns' hand while he's hanging on to the outside of the barn. And he falls to his death on a bunch of spikes. It's like some type of farm equipment. And this was just okay. It was mostly just to reveal that it was Roy Burns because his mask flies off. But I just feel like his death it was nothing special. You have spikes coming up through his chest and that, but it would have been cool to have some through his face and to get it a little more graphic, but there's really no gore at all, and it's just kind of an ending. And since this is Roy and he gets spikes all through him, it's definitely a death. Coming in at number 8, we got Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, with him in the sewer. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this death, but the toxic sludge comes through the sewer tunnels there, and Jason's trying to get at Renee on the ladder, and he's at the bottom of the ladder, and he turns and sees the wall of sludge coming, and it pretty much disintegrates him, like his skin's peeling and all this. I know he looks kind of like clay and it looks weird, but I don't mind it. and he eventually catches fire. I'm gonna give this a death because, god damn it, he must have died. I mean, the toxic sludge must have just disintegrated him, right? I know we get part 9 and it doesn't really explain. He just looks like a meatball in that one, but I don't know. I don't mind it. And when Jason turns into a boy or a kid at the end, I just chalk that up as one of Renee's hallucinations, so that don't bother me. Coming in at number 7, we got Freddy versus Jason. Now, this one, he it's hard to say if it's even a defeat because Jason and Freddy are battling out so much and ripping off limbs and just mutilating each other. But the way it ends, it's pretty much like Jason giving up because he comes in and saves Lori at the end and pretty much just watches her from under the water and just sinks, pretty much saying like, I'll let you have this one, you can live today. It's one of the only times we see that. It's like Jason pretty much just giving up and being like, it's enough for tonight. And so I guess it's a defeat, but it's more of him like giving up and just letting Lori live. And we see him at the very end coming up back out of the water, walking out. So you know it's not a death. So I'm chalking this one up as a defeat. But really, Freddy and Jason were defeated if you think about it. Coming in at number 6, we got Friday the 13th Part 3. Now, if we were talking about final acts, this one will be way higher. Same as Part 2, but we're just talking about Jason's death, the way he died, not what led up to it or anything. And in this movie, he dies from the axe in the head. And it's still pretty cool because he puts his arms out almost like a mummy or a zombie, still coming at her, just to show that, like, this guy is like an unstoppable force until he falls right at Chris Higgins' feet. And you're still kind of unsure as the viewer if he's still alive because he's been hung and all this stuff right before this. But the kill itself is just the axe to the mask, to the head. So it's not that great. I like everything building up to it, but the death itself is the axe to the head. And this is not really a death. I'm putting this down as a defeat because we know in part 4 he wakes up in the morgue. So coming in at number 5 is Friday Part 2. Now this is another one that would be way higher if we're talking about like final acts, because I love that Ginny uses her psychology courses on Jason and pretends to be his mother and all that. But that's really not his defeat or his death, because it ultimately fails because Jason sees his mom's head and Paul comes running in and him and Jason start kind of getting into a little scuffle, almost like a little wrestling match in the background. And Jason's defeat in this is Ginny slamming down the machete in the collar. And you do get to see the blood in that. I like that. It's an okay defeat. It's good mixed with all the psychology stuff in that, but on its own, just the machete here, it's just okay, I guess. Coming in at number 4, we got Jason Goes to Hell. Now this one involves Jessica stabbing Jason with the Kandorian dagger, whatever the hell it's called, from Evil Dead, and eventually kicking it in further, and all these lights and that are coming out. But his defeat in this is hell pretty much rising, demons in that, and grabbing him and hauling him back down into the ground, and pretty much sending him to hell, like the title implies. And I'm going to chalk this one up actually as a death, because, I mean, if you're going to hell, you must have died, right? Coming in at number 3, we got the OG, the original Friday the 13th, with Pamela Voorhees getting the decapitation by Alice. And we're in the top 3 here, so this is a good kill, I find. So Pamela loses the machete a little earlier on the beach, and Alice runs over to grab it, comes back, and just slices her head right off. It's just funny because you see her hairy palms come up, and she clenches her fists, kind of. Because those hands are the stuntman or special effects guy who had his hands up. Like, that's why you see the hair on the palms and the arms. I just found this was a really cool way to end the first entry in the series. Coming in at number 2, we got Jason Lives Part 6. This is where Megan was trying to rescue Tommy out of the water, and Jason starts grabbing her. He's chained to the bottom and trying to haul her down with him. But she trying to start the propeller of the boat. Eventually she does, and she puts it right in his throat. And it's just the way he's shaking. He's like vibrating, and it's just such an awesome way to kill Jason. And you can see like chunks of meat in that coming out until eventually it just like snaps his whole neck, and you see clumps of of blood and his innards and that just come out into the water. And I find it just makes for a great kill and a great visuals too. But this is gonna be a defeat, not a kill, because at the end he opens his eyes underwater, so it's chalked up as a defeat. Coming in at first place, you guys know what it is. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Now, this has a great final act, but we're not including that. Remember, we're just including the Jason death, and this is definitely a death if there is any in this series. After Trish knocks off Jason's mask, Tommy comes in with the machete and just hacks him, gets him right in the face. He falls down and goes right through his head and kind of splits his head. And it's some of the best effects in the whole series. I love it. And that's not really how he dies though. A lot of people say that's his death. It's not, because he's laying there and you see his fingers starting to move. And Tommy notices and he just starts hacking away and hacking away at it, Jason's body, until I imagine he's in like a bunch of little pieces. And now that's a way to take out a horror villain and make sure he'll never come back until at least a couple more sequels when he becomes zombie Jason. But this is just a great kill. Probably my favorite defeat of any big horror icon, and that's why it's number one on my list. So let me know what's your favorite defeat or death of Jason, Pam, or Roy, and let me know your worst too, so I get a balance and know where your mind's at. Drop it down in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll make sure to come back and make another Friday the 13th video as soon as I can. And I plan on dropping my F13 ranking of all the movies probably on November 13th, because it's on a Friday and it would work out perfect in my schedule. So look out for that. And I'm going to try my hardest to get it out at that time. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.